am Dr. Nilay Gandhi. I'm a board-certified urologist in Northern Virginia. And today I am kicking off the You're in Good Hands channel with a special Men's Health edition here for you. As Salt and Pepper so elegantly put it, let's talk about sex, baby. But this time we're gonna do it in the face of the current coronavirus pandemic. I'm here to tell you what you need to know.
Yeah, baby, yeah!
Many countries across the world and more cities across our country are now opening up in phases, but there are still many restrictions that apply. We all remember when, starting back in March, the whole world entered into a global quarantine, and this possibly limited some of your sexual encounters. We'll never forget all the scenes of the grocery stores and empty shelves and how the high demand items like toilet paper and hand sanitizer were never in stock. But another high demand items were condoms. And Durex even made fun at this, jokingly adding a full instructional picture sheet demonstrating how condoms can safely prevent against COVID-19. Again, please do not try this at home, all done as a joke. Many health experts are predicting a coronavirus baby boom soon to drop December 2020 or January 2021. Mark your calendars right now. But are people really having sex during a global pandemic? You may be somebody who's stuck at home with your significant other, socially distancing from others. There may be kids around. You have minimal supplies of toilet paper or hand sanitizer or even water bottles.
Because of coronavirus, you are going to be quarantined. But you have a choice. Do you A, quarantine with your wife and child, or B?
You may also have the other side of the spectrum where you may be single and coronavirus has put a significant damper on your social game. All these things may be occurring, but what I do know is Viagra sales are up, Cialis sales are up, condom sales are up. So I guess it's happening. The United Kingdom began implementing restrictions on social gatherings, and it quickly generated the nickname #SexBan. And of course, that started trending on Twitter. More on that in a little bit. All right, so let's start out with a few facts about coronavirus and sex before we get into what some new current guidelines that were just published in the last few days are. Based on current evidence, there has been no data showing that coronavirus can be spread through vaginal or anal intercourse. Remember, we all know that coronavirus can be spread through respiratory droplets, or this can be whether you're sneezing, coughing, that can lead to the spread of the disease. So do keep that in mind that physical contact, kissing, spreading of saliva may also contain coronavirus. And so be aware that if someone is sick, that may increase your risk. If you or your partner are exhibiting any signs of COVID-19 listed here, then you may want to avoid any sort of physical intimacy, such as kissing or cuddling, and refrain from any acts of sexual intercourse or even oral sex, because these can all increase your risk of transmission if someone is exhibiting symptoms. One of the key things that these guidelines have said is that you are your safest partner. And they encourage masturbation because you cannot contract COVID-19 from yourself if you've never been infected. So this is actually a great way to still enjoy the pleasures of sex. And there are many different ways that you can use masturbation in collaboration with your partner, whether this involves physical touching, whether this involves the use of web cameras or sexting, but there's many different ways that people have become creative during this pandemic. If you live in the same house as your regular sexual partner and both of you are asymptomatic, meaning you do not have any symptoms, then it is safe to have sex, with consent of course, and no risk of transmission of coronavirus. Now, while some governments may be trying to limit sexual encounters by limiting these social gatherings, #SexBan, there are certain steps you can take in place if you are having sex with someone who does not live in your household. Dating apps such as Match, Tinder, eHarmony, and Inner Circle have all had to pivot during this whole pandemic as well. They now all offer video dating as part of their platform and state that user traffic has actually increased significantly during this pandemic. I guess we just have a lot of people with nothing to do and a whole bunch of free time on their hands now. Pickup lines have now shifted from things like, hey, you must be so tired because you've been running through my mind all night, to, hey, I'm coronavirus negative, want to meet up? So when it comes down to it, should you be hooking up with someone who's in your own household? Or maybe someone who you don't know, that random stranger off a dating app? Should you have sex with somebody as these coronavirus restrictions and lockdown comes to an end? Let's go back to the United Kingdom Prime Minister Boris Johnson, himself a COVID-19 survivor, and let's hear him describe a social bubble.
But there are too many people, still too many people, particularly those who live by themselves, who are lonely and struggling with being unable to see friends and family. So from this weekend, we will allow single adult households, so adults living alone or single parents with children under 18, to form a support bubble with one other household. All those in a support bubble will be able to act as if they live in the same household, meaning they can spend time together inside each other's homes and do not need to stay 2 meters apart. I want to stress that support bubbles must be exclusive, meaning you can't switch the household you are in a bubble with or connect with multiple households.
And with that, the hashtag sex ban in the UK was lifted and the whole world rejoiced. I guess. I'm assuming. I can't travel, so I'm not sure. Just a few days ago, the New York Health Department released a new set of guidelines for having sex during this pandemic. As you know, New York was the epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak here in the United States. And so guidelines geared towards the people as they re-engage in society were extremely important when it comes to sex. You still are your safest sex partner. So again, masturbation is recommended, as are other forms of sexual arousal and intimacy, whether this involves video chat or sexting. The next safest partner is someone you live with. You've both been under quarantine, exposed to similar things, and that again would be your next safest person to be sexually active with. You should still limit close contact with people outside your household. This isn't just in a social setting, this is also in a sexual setting. So again, you want to screen people thoroughly. You want to try and have as few partners as possible and pick partners that you trust. You want to ask if anyone has had symptoms in the last 14 days or not, as well as if they've been diagnosed with COVID-19 using a nasal swab or saliva test. I know it sounds like a Debbie Downer, but again, we're trying to keep you safe. We're trying to keep everyone safe. The second category is talking about coronavirus antibodies. And right now, if someone has been affected with coronavirus, then they will develop antibodies against it. However, we don't know what that means to its fullest. We don't know if that means that person cannot be infected again. So if you met somebody or if you yourself have coronavirus antibodies or have previously been diagnosed with coronavirus and now you've been treated, again, that does not confer an immunity that we understand. It's not like chickenpox where you can never get it again. I think right now we're still trying to sort through and find out if that's the case or if people can get reinfected. So again, use caution. A third category may sound kind of obvious, but if you're feeling sick, probably avoid sex. Again, the whole risk is there's a possibility of transmitting a disease even if you're not sure if you have coronavirus. But if you're feeling sick, such as those symptoms we discussed earlier, it's probably best to avoid sex until you feel better. And in the last section, I think it's quite interesting because this generated a lot of publicity, but because kissing can potentially transmit the disease and sexual activity can involve some panting and kissing, that the recommendations are to wear a mask while having sex. And you can imagine a lot of people are not too pleased by this, but I guess the things we do for our loved ones, right? The guidelines also recommend to try and make it a little kinky. And they want you to still engage in sexual activity, but in ways that can be creative with sexual positions or even physical barriers that still allow for sexual contact while preventing close face-to-face contact. They also recommend the potential of masturbating together and exploring other sexual manners. I hope this has been helpful for you, and of course, these guidelines are subject to change as the whole thing evolves as we learn more about this pandemic. Ultimately, we want everyone to stay safe. We're all in this together, and together we will come out even stronger. So if you enjoyed this video, please hit subscribe and get excited because this week kicks off National Men's Health Week. I'll be posting some new videos, and I look forward to hearing back from you in the comments. I'm Dr. Nilay Gandhi, signing off. Until the next one.